So here's what we're going to do. We have actually one of our great partners up. How many of you are partners with Level today? Anybody in here is currently Level partner? Excellent. Level's been a fantastic resource for us, a wonderful partner. I don't know if you guys know, how many of you know that Level was actually the reason that MSPU, or one of the main reasons MSPU exists today?
That's very true.
Without Level, there'd be no MSP today. We were an MSP like everybody else, just kind of not even MSP. We were a break-fix provider in Southern California. You know, we had a pretty successful business, doing great in Southern California. We thought break-fix was that's how you did stuff. That's about as far as it went. And we had some of our Canadian friends over here just kind of call us down and start telling us about, have you guys heard about remote monitoring and you can make X amount of dollars a month in recurring revenue? We're like, that's crazy talk. No one's going to do that.
You guys were our first case study as well.
Yeah, actually, it was a big reason that, you know, through their show we actually got out and we started working through them and selling a bunch of licenses, it's just kind of spiraled in a book, and here we are today. So we're really happy to work with Level, and one of the main reasons we love working with Level, besides the fact they have a tremendous product, it's a fantastic product. They're dedicated to helping you grow your business. Outside of anything else, they really just want to see you succeed. Mm-hmm. So they're great. They have been around the managed service industry for a long time. They understand cloud computing as well. They understand a lot of the nuances that make your business successful. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Rob. You take it from here, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, round of applause.
Thank you. See, that's an awesome endorsement. I should just walk away right now because it doesn't get better than that. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this on? All right, perfect. All right, so I do want to talk today about managed services. I want to talk about recurring revenue. I am not going to do a Level Platforms product demo. Sorry to disappoint you guys that we're looking forward to that. If you are interested in taking a look at our product, we are here for the next 3 days. We have our table just outside. This gentleman right here to my left is Mr. Jeff Dryle. He is our manager of product sales support. Ultimately, what Jeff's role is at Level Platforms is to bridge that gap between technology and sales. So he can actually practically show you the technology, but at the same time, how you can apply it within your customer environment and ultimately make money doing it. What I do want to share with you today is basically bridging that gap between your end users and your businesses, bridging that gap around what it is that you're doing and how it is that you're actually doing it. So I'm going to go through a lot of that. First of all, my name is Rob Rand. I'm the Director of Partner Development for Level Platforms. What does that mean? Ultimately, when you become a Level Platforms partner, you get assigned an account manager. That account manager is ultimately responsible for you generating revenue, and I'll tell you why. Those individuals at Level Platforms roll into me. So ultimately what my role is to make sure that every Level Platforms partner is making money using our technology, ultimately selling your managed services offering. Okay? Very quickly, brief introduction to Level Platforms. We were founded back in 1999. We too were an MSP, or back then I guess we were a VAR, back in 1999. We wanted to create a differentiator for ourselves. So very similar to what Len was talking about, he created his own PSA. Eventually we worked for Autotask. We created our own RMM tool, ultimately spun off and became Level Platforms. It's called Managed Workplace, and we officially launched it in 2004, at which point we closed our MSP and started working exclusively on Managed Workplace. Managed Workplace is the only product Level Platforms has. And of course, it's a remote monitoring solution. If you are not familiar with the power of remote monitoring, we're going to talk a little bit about it today, but ultimately come by and actually see us, and Jeff will do that product demo for you. Our tagline is See All, Manage All. Ultimately, what we want to do and everything that we do and everything we incorporate into our product is to get you guys the ability to see all and manage all within your customers' environments. Okay? We are the only 100% channel-friendly remote monitoring vendor, the only one. If you're using a remote monitoring solution today that is not Level Platforms, they also sell direct. As a matter of fact, a lot of our competitors' revenue streams are starting to surpass, their direct revenue streams are starting to surpass those that come from the channel. We take great pride in being 100% channel friendly. Myself, my entire career was spent prior to Level with Compact Computers. And my job at Compact Computers was to negotiate margins for the channel. That was it. That was sales at Compact way back in the day. All right. The owner of Level Platforms, a gentleman by the name of Peter Sanford, is an old SHL System House guy. We're all from the channel. We all believe in the channel, and we're all putting 100% of our efforts into the channel. So we have one product, Managed Workplace. We have one customer, you. You don't make money, we don't make money. And that's what's made us successful today. We have over 3,000 partners. Those are MSPs, solution providers, VARs, whatever you want to tag them as, spread out over 34 countries. We have 120 employees, all based in North America. We do not outsource anything. All of our development is done in-house. All of our support is done in-house. And then, of course, one of the keys for level platforms, of course, is our strategic relationships. We integrate with all the different technologies you guys have got, all your different backups, all your different AVs, all the different PSAs. We have awesome relationships with Autotask. Actually, probably our tightest, best integration is with Autotask. So if you're an Autotask user and you haven't got that link set up with your RMM, take a look at Level. We, of course, work with all the other different PSA vendors, ConnectWise, TigerPaw, all the, as I mentioned, AV vendors, backup vendors, NetSuite, Salesforce, all those other emerging technologies that are coming in. All right, that's enough about level platforms. Let's talk about the actual channel, okay? What we need to do in order to take a look forward, let's take a look back very quickly. And Len actually referred to this. He actually mentioned that he did a presentation with my boss, Dan Wensley, not that long ago, where he started talking about the evolution of the channel. Len wants us to start in the 70s. But ultimately, I don't think anybody that was in the channel in the 70s is still alive other than Len. So we're going to focus exclusively. We're going to focus exclusively starting in the 1990s. Back in the 1990s, anybody back in business back in the 90s? All right, you guys were known as resellers. Actually, when I first joined Compact Computers, I was told your customer is called a reseller. And I thought it was actually some type of internal derogatory term that we used around giving people a product they're going to actually go and resell. I was shocked that when we actually found out that reseller is a branded thing that goes to end users. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more value you're contributing other than just reselling boxes. But back then, you're selling boxes, making money on the product. A lot of times you deliver it, implement it, train on it, fix it, simply at no charge, simply just to acquire those future hardware sales. Well, we saw organizations like Dell come into the marketplace and kind of ruin the party. Back in 1997, you guys had to become value-added resellers, meaning you're going to start putting value around that actual box because all of a sudden the hardware manufacturers are starting to ruin your margins. I remember negotiating double-digit margins around desktops and notebooks back in the Compact days. All of a sudden went down to fractions of a penny. You're lucky if you got anything on a notebook, much less what we were given to disti. So all of a sudden, you had to start creating value. This is where the services started coming into play. This is where you start hearing terms like trusted advisor. Natural evolution is to get away from the whole reseller term to begin with and start looking at yourselves as complete solution providers, SPs. Solution providers are providing that end-to-end relationship with the customer. You're going to manage all those different vendors, manage all those different products. You're actually going to add value around everything that you're actually doing. You start hearing terms like outsourcing, complete IT outsourcing to you guys, that kind of idea. And then, of course, the natural evolution is in managed services. We finally saw tools come to the marketplace like remote monitoring solutions like Level, PSA solutions like Autotask come to market, mature, and help you guys find efficiencies within your business. Ultimately, there are three economic drivers, the three economic drivers that fueled that trying to kind of transition into services. Number one was recurring revenue. All of a sudden, you can take your business away from break, fix, like Len said, down on your knees, begging for something to break, into getting your customers into contracts for services that you're going to provide. Now, I want to focus most of my time and energy around today around recurring revenue, because ultimately that's where the big bang for your buck is. There's upsell opportunities that are involved, and MSPs are finding more upsell opportunities. I'll show you that in a moment. And, of course, there's ways to lower your cost of doing business. All right? Getting rid of the trucks, staying in the office, remote monitoring, remote fixing, remote troubleshooting issues. There's a lot more things that you can do with technology these days that you just couldn't do in the past. All right? But I do want to focus around recurring revenue. What's next? Obviously, it's the cloud, right? Cloud's not going away. Cloud's going to be here. Everybody's going to have to take a look at it. End users starting to talk about it. Microsoft is spending $1 billion a quarter on advertising. All right? My kids are asking me what the cloud is. It's not going to go away, and it's a natural evolution. But the cloud's really always been there. And you're going to hear stuff over the next couple of days that's going to talk very specifically about the cloud. One of the great things about being a monitoring vendor and focused on managed services is that the hype has actually moved away from managed services and onto the cloud. So now that this hype is gone from managed services, we can actually take an intelligent look at managed services and where the opportunities legitimately are. And I want to share again some of that with you today. First of all, from a Level Platforms perspective, we're an agentless-based solution, meaning it's a single deployment at the customer site. You don't put agents on each individual device. We have agents if you want to use them. The cloud is an agentless world. Okay? Your technology, if you're not using a remote monitoring vendor that is agentless, which means if you're not using Level Platforms, because we're the only one, you're going to have problems monitoring in the cloud. Anybody plan on selling Office 365? You're going to need an agentless solution in order to be able to provide that level of service to your customers. Come and talk to us about it. Okay? All right. What, why, and how? Going back to those three economic drivers. Net new recurring revenue stream, incremental sales, meaning you're going to sell more stuff, and then finally reducing your cost of doing business, using technology to do all of this. Okay? A couple numbers. Now, I am going to, anybody that wants this presentation, I'm going to pound you full of numbers right now. I'm going to try to make it as fun and relevant as possible. But if anybody wants this presentation, I'm going to give you my email address at the end. Please email me. I will send you this whole package. Even if you're not interested in level. If you want to take a look at where the market is, and these are all trending data, comes from iPad, comes from MSPU, comes from a bunch of different sources. It's all legitimate stuff. Now that, again, the Gartner hype cycle has moved on to the cloud, we can actually legitimately take a look at managed services. First of all, this chart talks about solution providers. A solution provider is an organization that does not use a remote monitoring solution or a PSA solution. Okay? A level platforms or an Autotask, for instance. Then you have the MSP average. An MSP is an organization that does use a remote monitoring solution and a PSA solution like Autotask, ConnectWise, TigerPaw. Okay? That's the MSP average. A BIC MSP is a best-in-class managed services provider. That's the top tier out of that MSP group. A couple highlights I want to point out. First of all, 11% of a solution provider's business is coming from services. Obviously, they're still focused on break-fix. MSP average obviously goes up, naturally, 3 times. So 31% of the business is actually coming from services. The interesting part of this was product sales. Now, there are still guys out there that haven't figured out services. They went to their customers and said, I'm a managed services provider. Please buy my services from me. And your customers went, I don't get it. I want to continue our relationship the way we've done it. You guys have done an awesome job. Why would I change? All right, so there's a lot of guys that are still out there that are focused exclusively on product. 20% of their margins are coming from product, a solution provider. 27% of an MSPs. MSPs are actually finding more product sales because they're using the technology to actually do that. When you're proactively monitoring a customer's environment, you're going to find more upsell opportunities than a guy that's waiting for something to break. Not only that, but you're also providing that consultative, proactive approach to managing your customers. Okay? Total number of customers is another interesting stat. Average solution provider is working with 191 customers, whereas the average MSP is only working with 86, less than half. Why? Goes back to what Eric talked about first thing this morning, where you're going to focus on your A-tier customers. You're going to start replacing your C-tier customers with those A-tier customers. I have a great partner out of Pennsylvania, and he's part of the package. If you're interested, I will send it to you. It's an article that was written in Business Solutions about him. We actually had 400 active customers. He had 18 staff. He got rid of 325 of those customers. He focused on 75 customers that A, were willing to sign a contract, and B, had greater than 40% ROI. He took his staff from 18 down to 6. His profits went up 300%. You also got to remember that a recurring revenue dollar is worth 4 to 7 times more than a break-fix dollar. You sell a break-fix dollar, again, the next year you're hoping to sell another break-fix dollar. You're waiting for something to break. Recurring revenue means that they're going to come back, and they're going to come back, and they're going to come back. We're all on cell phone plans. You got to sign a 3-year agreement with them. You're paying them. That's consistent revenue that's coming in the door. You want to take that recurring revenue to a bank and borrow money, it's worth 4 to 7 times more than that actual dollar. You want to sell your business, your valuation just went up 4 to 7 times more when you start talking about recurring revenue. Hence the reason why contracts are critical, especially within our industry. Great news is the end user market is ready for it. Everybody else is playing this game but us. So it's an easier conversation, not easy, but easier. And it's going to continue to get easier. As long as we all go to market with the same message, which means you need to sign a contract to continue to do business with me, we'll all win. All the cell phone companies did it. IT solution providers are starting to do it as well. I want to talk specifically about remote monitoring. This is a report that actually literally came out a month ago, so we're crazy excited about this. And there is a report that actually came out with the PSA solution as well, and it talks exactly about the same data. And what they're finding is that organizations that are using RMMs and organizations that are using PSAs, Autotask, ConnectWise, TigerPaw, are more profitable than the average channel partner. I want to focus specifically on RMM. Okay? All companies within the channel grew 5.9% in 2011. This is from April to April. Okay, 2011, the average solution provider, regardless of the tools you're using, regardless of how you're going to market, everybody grew 6%. Those that are using remote monitoring tools actually grew 20%. Those that are called high-density RMM users, that means you're monitoring more than 75% of your customer base. Can anybody say that they're monitoring more than 75% of their customer base? Right. It's not many. And that's not uncommon. I'm looking at level partners, and I'm looking at our stats on a daily basis. A lot of level partners aren't high-density users. But they're growing at an exponentially faster rate, 28%. When we actually take a look at profitability, Okay? Net profits for the channel actually went up, or was at 6.63%. RMM users 7.83, which means they're growing 18% faster than those that aren't using an RMM solution. Those that are monitoring more than 50% of their customers, more than 75% of their customers are actually growing 50% faster than those that aren't monitoring at all. Some really cool stuff. Again, I'll send this report to you if you're very interested. All right, now we can actually start taking a look at some intelligent data coming from the end user community. So there's a Forbes report that literally was just released as well. What it did was it went to MSPs and said, what's going on in the MSP space, okay? The great part about this report is, A, you guys have all bought into it. Everybody agrees that managed services is the way to go, okay? Unanimously, that's where the channel is starting to head. The profits are there, we've seen it. All right, we know the money is there. Despite recessionary times, we know everything is there, okay? What's happening, though, is the end user community isn't adopting. And this is natural for the evolution. It absolutely is natural. You'll find the same thing for the cloud. Although the cloud is here and everybody's talking about the cloud, and Kent's going to come on and talk about the cloud and press that panic button a little bit, we have lots of time. We've been talking about managed services for 7 years.